It's been revealed two people charged in the New Zealand First Foundation electoral funding case allegedly used a fraudulent trick to secure hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that money was then used to pay party expenses. The two accused each face a charge of obtaining by deception following a serious fraud office investigation, and at the moment both have name suppression. New Zealand First Leader Winston Peter says the foundation is completely separate from the political party, which he claims has been totally exonerated by the SFO. In the Waitakere District Court today, RNZ, Stuff, TVNZ and NZME opposed the names being kept secret, arguing it's in the public interest for voters to be fully informed about what are serious charges during an election campaign. RNZ's investigative reporter Guyon Espiner has new details about the case.
Well, I think the main new information we got was from the charge sheets, the SFO charge sheets. Now, we've applied for those. There's been a lot of secrecy around this case and we have not had them until today. So we found out a little bit more about what these two people are alleged to have done. Now, what the SFO is saying is that these two people intentionally set out to deceive donors, the Electoral Commission, and the party secretary for New Zealand First. So party donations that were supposed to be for the party were in fact paid into two bank accounts. $677,000 worth paid into the New Zealand First Foundation bank account between April 2017 and February 2020. A smaller amount, $68,000, paid into a bank account that is run by one of the people who is being charged, a company that is run by one of the people being charged. So in total, we're talking about nearly $750,000. So that's what the SFO is saying, that the Party Secretary of New Zealand First was not told about these funds. The funds are not declared to the Electoral Commission. As a result of all that, the two defendants, the SFO, say, were able to do with that money what they wanted, and what they did was paid expenses for the New Zealand First Party. So that's the guts of it. That's the SFO's case. Obviously, these are charges at the moment.
And just in terms of those charges, these are not charges under the Electoral Act, are they?
No, they're not. They are charges under the Crimes Act, Section 240 of the Crimes Act. Obtaining by deception is the charge there. Now, depending on which section, you could get a maximum penalty of 3 years under one section or up to 7 years in jail from another section of that. But yes, they're not electoral charges under the Electoral Act, but criminal charges under the Crimes Act.
Interesting. Why were you in court this morning? Two people who were charged, they have name suppression. So what is the issue here with the media?
Yes, so this was a hearing over name suppression, and one of the defendants appeared in court today, and their names are both suppressed, and the lawyer was arguing that on hardship grounds, because you're allowed a certain amount of grounds to apply name suppression, as you know from covering lots of cases in your time as a journalist. And the grounds effectively is hardship. They're saying that this defendant would suffer material hardship for a range of reasons, which I won't go into because I don't want to identify this person. But the grounds were that it would be excessive hardship to this person if the person was named at this time. Now, the hearing in the Waitakere District Court today was because the media, RNZ and Stuff, represented by Robert Stewart, NZME also joined in that action, were saying, look, we're fighting this. We think, the media companies think, that this is an issue of public right to know, of voters' right to know just before an election. We're, 8 or 9 days out, and advance voting has already begun. The argument was that this information should be put before the voters to test the claims that have been made by the leader of the party, Winston Peters, that his party has been totally exonerated. And he's also claimed that the foundation and the party are entirely separate entities. Now, it's the media's job usually to test those arguments. The lawyer for those media companies was arguing that cannot be tested. The public cannot know that unless the names of those two people charged are made public before the election. Now, the judge heard these arguments from both sides, and reserved his decision. So 24 hours he expects to come back with a decision, and then we'll know from there what happens with the name suppression.
Because there is obviously a potential opportunity for an appeal depending on what that decision is.
Totally. And I think that is pretty likely from what I heard in court today. And Robert Stewart, who's acting for RNZ and for Stuff, is concerned about this because the clock is ticking down, right? It's October 17, we've got just over a week, and so I would expect to see that decision from the judge come back. There might be some more appeals, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it could go to other courts, possibly even the High Court and Court of Appeal before the election. That's possible.
And just for clarification purposes, there is a rider around these two individuals who have been charged. The things that they are not. So can we remind people about that?
Yeah, we can, and I did write that down. So we can't say who they are, but we can say who they're not. The SFO in its media statement said that they were neither defendant. So there's two of them. Neither one is a minister, a sitting MP, a candidate in the upcoming election, or a member of their staff, or a current member of the New Zealand First Party. Now, it's important to remember too that statement that came out on the 29th of September, there was an attempt to suppress that, and actually New Zealand First, lawyers for New Zealand First wanted that statement and the application to suppress it kept secret until after a government was formed. So not only after you voted by October 2017, but any coalition negotiations, which can take weeks, They were arguing that this should be kept secret until even a government was formed. Now, they lost that little bit of it, and so we do know that much. But again, the secrecy battle continues, and the name suppression battle is what's before the courts right now.
RNZ investigative reporter Guyon Espiner there.